Hi, my name is Colin and welcome to this channel. Today we're going to talk about rest. Have you ever felt guilty taking time off from work? Do you have trouble fully unplugging when you're out of office? I don't know about you, but I've been hearing so much more discourse around rest and 24/7 hustle culture in the past year or so than I ever have before. Why it took a pandemic for some of us to understand the necessity of rest is beyond me, but I guess that's why I'm making this video. If you've ever felt guilty about using your vacation days or taking a break, period, you're not alone. Vacation guilt is a real phenomenon. According to a 2019 article written by Gina Weinstein, I hope I'm saying her name correctly, 24% of Gen Z employees admitted that they feel guilty taking a vacation from work. That's compared to 19% of millennials, 16% Gen X, and only 8% of baby boomers. Priceline surveyed over 1,000 full-time US employees and found that more than half of Americans have more than 10 vacation days each year, yet 1/3 of people have 7 days or more still remaining through the end of the year. The report also found that 47% of Gen Z felt pressured to check their work email or phones while on vacation. 40% of millennials felt that way too. I mean, what does that say about our relationship with work if we're constantly walking on eggshells and treating our job as though we're some kind of needy boyfriend? It's like there's this unspoken belief that you need to work for your vacation and earn it. But if you don't produce a certain level of output or put in an arbitrary number of required hours, then you don't deserve a vacation. Because God forbid you decide to hop on a plane to the Bahamas for a long weekend without having worked overtime. While some companies offer unlimited paid time off as a benefit, studies have actually shown that with unlimited vacation days, people tend to take less time off overall compared to those who work for companies that offer traditional vacation policies. And this is due to a fear of appearing lazy or as though you're taking advantage of the vacation policy, the flexible vacation policy. I follow an Instagram account called Out of Office, and the brand describes itself as an antidote to productivity-obsessed burnout culture. I highly recommend following the account if you don't already. There's a lot of good stuff on there, so definitely check it out. Anyway, in their June newsletter, the founder Alice Catter talks about the difference between European vacation culture versus American vacation culture. And let me tell you, the differences are pretty staggering. She writes, Americans and Europeans have wildly different vacation cultures. In the US, there is no minimum state or federal paid vacation, whereas in some European countries, employees can enjoy as many as 38 paid days off each year. Not only do Americans get far less vacation, they are very reluctant to use it, as we've already mentioned. Half of Americans actually haven't gone on vacation in a year, while almost 4 in 10 haven't gone on vacation for 2 years. That's crazy talk. American hustle culture, as much as people have become disillusioned with it over the years, I know I have, it's still very much embedded in our societal DNA. And I don't think I'm alone in saying that I've got a lot of work to do, no pun intended, if I want to stop perpetuating the cycle of burnout in my own life. Of course, vacation culture is hardly the only byproduct of our work-obsessed, rest, undervaluing culture. There's also things like revenge bedtime procrastination, which according to Psychology Today, I don't know if that's a reliable source, let me know in the comments, is bedtime procrastination with an emphasis on the impact of long work hours on the willingness to forgo sleep in order to have a few more minutes of downtime. So essentially, you're procrastinating on sleep as an act of defiance against your busy work schedule that you feel like you have little to no control over, when in reality, you're only really hurting yourself by doing that. But I'm totally guilty of revenge bedtime procrastination. Another related phenomenon that comes to mind is productivity dysmorphia, a term coined by writer Anna Codrea-Rado, which she refers to as the disconnect between what you've objectively achieved and your feelings about it. A phenomenon that sits at the intersection of burnout, imposter syndrome, and anxiety. Essentially, despite how much you've achieved, you don't derive any satisfaction from your accomplishments because you still feel like you haven't done enough. I know that we all need rest in order to function as human beings, and that the purpose of rest is not solely for us to work more or boost our productivity, but old habits die hard, and I think over the past few years, I forgot how to actually rest without feeling guilty or ashamed about it. As I was preparing for this video, I was researching the importance of rest and ways that I could rest productively. And if that's not a testament to our work-oriented culture and how deeply this obsession with productivity is ingrained in my way of life, then I don't know what is. Like, here I am thinking about rest in terms of productivity, almost as a means to an end rather than an end in itself. Point being, rest is not the opposite of work, and it should kind of be in its own separate category of life, much like work. That's not to say that rest and work are not related, and I'm not going to pretend like there aren't people out there who have backbreaking jobs that pay low wages and require you to work long shifts. But I do think as a society, an American society at least, work is kind of the center of everything, that we almost normalize it. When in reality, none of us are built to work 24/7. None of us are machines. Or are we? While we're on the topic of breaks, so other than redefining rest as rest and not as a reward for being productive, what else can we do? I'm still figuring out how to make rest a normal part of my everyday life, but on an individual level, I think we can start here. Stop bragging about being busy. Let's brag more about how much sleep we got. How about that? Reevaluate your relationship with time. A lot of us struggle with feeling as though we never have enough time. Some of us fill up our daily schedules to the brim, but go to bed feeling like they didn't get anything done and just wasted their day. I recently saw an Instagram Live by Marie Forleo, and in it she said, "Overwhelm is actually a function of a lack of clarity. If you don't have clarity on what's most important, it's really easy to slip into this mistaken idea that everything is equally important. I have so much to do, I don't know what to do first," that whole dilemma. What are some things that you're doing out of obligation but don't actually need to do? Maybe it's time to let that shit go. I know it's easier said than done, but essentially, I think the lesson here is work less. Stop trying to monetize all of your hobbies. I feel like this is a note to myself more than anyone really, but over the summer, I realized that pretty much all of my recent passion projects or personal pursuits had become a means for potential monetary gain, and that kind of sucked the joy out of all of my so-called hobbies. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with having a side hustle or making money from your passion. I have a few tiny side hustles myself. But there's something to be said about having an activity in your life that you do purely out of joy without any strings attached or financial pressures. That brings me to my next point. Revive your hobbies or find a new one, preferably something that forces you to engage with the physical world. As Cal Newport mentions in his book Digital Minimalism, when you use craft to leave the virtual world of the screen and instead begin to work in more complex ways with the physical world around you, you're living truer to your primal potential. Craft makes us human, and in doing so, it can provide deep satisfactions that are hard to replicate in other, dare I say, less hands-on activities. I did something a little out of my comfort zone this summer. I wanted to find a hobby where I could just kind of use my hands instead of constantly clacking away on my computer. Anyway, there's this one instrument that I've always wanted to play, but I just never got the chance to, and that is the drums. So while I was on a 1-month vacation in Seoul, Korea last month, I had a lot of downtime, so I decided to enroll in drum lessons. But point is, I didn't really care if I was bad at it. I just really enjoyed learning how to play the drums, and it was just so cathartic for me, and I had so much fun. Carve out time for silence and solitude. Silence and solitude is something that my church pastors talk about all the time, and Cal Newport also dedicated like an entire chapter or so to this topic. But according to Newport, solitude deprivation is a state in which you spend close to zero time alone with your own thoughts and free from input from other minds. Do I practice silence and solitude every day? No, not always, but I do try my best to be consistent, and when I go on for weeks without my daily moments of solitude, I do notice the effects in my life, and I definitely feel a lot more restless and less at peace. So make solitude a regular part of your routine, whether you're taking a walk by yourself or journaling in silence. I think we all need that alone time to take a step back and reflect on our lives. Take your vacation and milk it. According to a recent study by the World Health Organization, 745,000 people died in 2016 from heart disease and stroke due to long hours, and said the trend might worsen due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Research has also shown that both meditation, exercises, and vacationing were associated with higher levels of well-being and increased mindfulness. So I don't know about you, but I think you can use a vacation. Lastly, don't just rest to be productive. Rest because it's good for you. All right, that is my spiel on this topic. Let me turn it over to you. Are you making rest and relaxation a priority in your life? If not, is your sense of self-worth tied to your level of output? Are you burnt out? All of the above? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.